Hello and welcome to the news updates on AFRICUNIA television, reaching you live from our studio in the nation's commercial capital, Lagos, Nigeria. I am Deborah Ezeh, and many thanks for joining me today. We begin with stories from the Nigerian scene. The Court of Appeal in Abuja yesterday declared it as illegal and unlawful the abduction and rendition of the Biafran nation agitator and leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Kanu, from Kenya to Nigeria, and squashed the entire terrorism charges brought against him by the federal government. Now striking out the charges against him, the court held that the federal government breached all local and international laws in the forceful rendition of Kanu to Nigeria in June 2021, thereby making the terrorism charges against him incompetent and unlawful. In a judgment of three-member panel read by the lead judge, Justice Oludotun Adefokpe Okoje, the criminal charges by the federal government against Kanu were voided and set aside. Members of the IPOB yesterday went into wild jubilation in Southeast following the discharge and acquittal of their member. IPOB members who had besieged newsstand along the Edibon Road, Enugu, erupted moments after the news was broken. Reacting to the development, IPOB said the ruling has shown that some judges are good and they know the law. IPOB spokesman Ima Powerful said the judges know that Kanu did not commit the crime. And now moving on, after 8 months of embarking on strike to press home their demands from the federal government, lecturers of public universities in the country have suspended the action. The decision was taken at the National Executive Council (NEC) meeting of the Lecturers Union under the aegis of Academic Staff Union of Universities (ASUU) on Friday morning in Abuja. But the strike, according to a source at the meeting held at ASUU National Secretariat, located in the premises of the University of Abuja, was suspended conditionally. The meeting, which began Thursday evening, stretched into Friday morning with state and zonal branch executive members of the union in attendance. The union meeting was held to review developments, especially the order of the Court of Appeal, which had ordered it to obey the earlier order of the National Industrial Court of Nigeria by suspending the industrial action before it appealed the judgment of the trial court. Still in Nigeria, Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has renewed commitment towards providing efficient and sustainable infrastructure to meet with the growing demand for the future. He said the projected increase in number of vehicles and the subsequent rise in traffic volumes were responsible for traffic congestion and infrastructural pressure. Sanwo-Olu spoke at the 20th International Civil Engineering Conference of Nigerian Institution of Civil Engineers, ECO Akete 2022, with the theme Sustainable Civil Infrastructure Development in a Challenging Economy, held at the Podium International Event, Ikeja, Lagos. The governor, represented by Special Advisor on Works and Infrastructure, Aramide Adeyoye, said that the construction in the roads and highway sector had significantly increased in recent years. He said that his administration would continue to leverage technology to transform the state economy while easing impediments for businesses to flourish. National Chairman of the institution, Dr. Jan Tanko, in his address, commended the governor for the achievements in infrastructure. He said that the institution will continue to strive to create an enabling regulatory environment for engineering to grow. We go on a short break now, and when we come back, it's more updates from the African scene. Do stay with me. How to buy airtime from the AFRICUNIA Bank. Log into your AFRICUNIA Bank app, click on the 3 horizontal lines above the screen, then click on the dashboard. Then above the screen top is another 3 horizontal line. Click on it. Scroll down and click on Buy Mobile Airtime. You'll be directed to another page. Then select your country and enter your mobile number, then click on Submit. You'll be directed to a page where you select the amount of airtime you want, then directed to where you'll be asked to confirm your recharge details. Change your select wallet from USD to NGN if you're in Nigeria. Then click on Make Payment and your recharge is successful. Now, welcome back. An explosion killed at least 11 people on the bus in central Mali, a region regularly rocked by jihadist violence, according to police and local sources. The bus was struck by a blast on the road between Bandiagara and Gaudakar in the Mopti area in the early afternoon. A police officer who spoke on condition of anonymity gave a provisional toll of 11 dead and many seriously injured. Mali is struggling with a long jihadist insurgency that has claimed thousands of lives and forced hundreds of thousands from their homes. Mines and IEDs are among the jihadist weapon, and a report by the UN mission in Mali, MINUSMA, found that as of August 31st, mines and IEDs had caused 72 deaths. Most of the victims are soldiers, but a quarter are civilians. Meanwhile, a rebel group operating from Sudan's Nuba mountain added over 9 prisoners of war to Khartoum authorities after neighbor South Sudan mediation, potentially boosting chances for the two sides to reach a final and permanent accord. The 9 men who have been in captivity of Sudan People's Liberation Movement North were handed over to Sudan ambassador in South Sudan, Jamal Malik, in Juba. They were captured last month after heavy battles in South Sudan's Kordofan province and were being released on humanitarian grounds to return to their families. Ama Amon, the SPLMN Secretary General, told a news conference in Juba. Sudan's ambassador, Jamal Malik, told the news conference Khartoum welcomed the handover of the prisoners, although he said they were not members of Sudan's armed forces. Still on the African scene, a growing number of African countries have introduced financial market policies related to environmental, social, or governance issues as a global push to invest more sustainably to gather pace. 17 countries on the continent now have some sustainability-focused policies out of 26 surveyed by think tank official Monetary and Financial Institution Forum and South African bank ABSA, up from 12 last year. As tackling climate change has moved up the global agenda, more regulators have introduced environmental disclosures in a bid to prevent greenwashing, where companies and others make misleading statements about their environmental efforts. South Africa, Mauritius, Kenya, and Egypt top the report's sustainability policy rankings as they require banks to incorporate climate change into their risk management and reporting. It's noted improvement in enforcing legal agreements in Nigeria and Ghana, and that Uganda, Ethiopia, and Rwanda are planning to improve the adoption of international financial standards. Now up next, the top headlines making the rounds on the foreign scene. Just stay with me. And now welcome back. We now head to updates from the sports scene. The new board of the Nigeria Football Federation (NFF), led by Ibrahim Gusau, may have started on a bad note as the country's national beach soccer team will not be taking part in the African Championship due to lack of funds. The African Beach Soccer Championship will begin on October 21st in Mozambique, but the Sand Eagles of Nigeria will not participate. And for failing to turn up for the 2022 African Beach Football Championship, Nigeria will be fined by the Confederation of African Football, CAF. Nigeria also faces ban from the 2024 edition of the championship. CAF has released a revised fixture for the competition following the withdrawal of Nigeria, which will now see 7 teams compete for the ultimate prize at the 5th edition tournament. Hosts Mozambique, Malawi, and Morocco are the 3 teams in Group A, while 4 teams make up Group B. They are Senegal, Uganda, Madagascar, and Egypt. The 2022 Beach Soccer Africa Cup of Nations will kick off at Vilanculos Arena with host Mozambique 2021 AFCON runner-up facing debutants Malawi. The final will take place on October 28th. And finally, Scott McTominay struck deep in stoppage time as Manchester United kept their hopes of winning their Europa League group with a late 1-0 win over Omonia. Omonia arrived in Manchester having lost 5 of their last 7 matches, including last Thursday 3-2 defeat to United, but produced a defiant, heroic stand epitomized by inspired goalkeeper Francis Uzoho. Now, a snail side came within seconds of leaving Old Trafford with unlikeliest of points. United stayed second in Europa League Group E, 3 points behind leaders Real Sociedad, but victory in their final 2 matches can still see them progress into the round of 16 as group winners without having to face a side demoted from the Champions League in a playoff. Manchester United faced Newcastle at home in the Premier League on Sunday at 2 p.m. before hosting Tottenham in the Premier League on Wednesday at 8:15 p.m. And that's all from us on News Update today. Do follow all our social media platforms displaying on your screen to stay connected and updated with news and other programs. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you can also link us up on www.africunia.tv. Once again, I am Deborah Ezeh. Have a beautiful weekend. welcome to the Big Small Business Show, where we showcase young entrepreneurs who are making an impact in our society. And I'm Deborah Ezeh. On the show today, we should be diving into the world and business of fish farming. And with me is a man who has carved and created a niche in this aspect of farming. Today's episode was made possible by AFRICUNIA, your #1 go-to for agricultural produce. We'll go on a short break, and when we come back, it's going to be talks about fishes all the way. Stay with me. It's good to have you on the show, Mr. Toju, the fish farmer.
Thank you.
So introduce yourself and what you do to the viewers.
Okay. My name is Toju Nanu. I'm an architect and also a fish farmer, and would I say a general businessman. So that's basically my core area.
Okay.
And,
so today we'll be centering on the fish farming part. So I'm interested, what birthed the whole fish, farming idea, and how did it come, how did it come to life?
okay.
Yeah.
Well, it came to light through financial responsibilities,
Right.
and I knew that money doesn't grow on trees, so I needed to generate an extra source of income.
Okay.
And I was deliberating on what to go into. Then I realized that agriculture is an essential part of and human need. So I chose to go into that field. Then I tried to look for which area to specialize in, and that was I settled for fish farming.
So how would you describe a fish farming business? Because apart from visuals where you see ponds and fishes, I really do not understand, what it is. So how would you describe the fish farming business?
Fish farming is a very interesting business. On the surface, it's very easy to run. Very easy to run. However, a lot of planning and procedure needs to be put in place to actually enjoy fish farming business.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are the basic requirements to start a fish farm, and how can you describe a good farm site for fishing?
Okay. The first basic requirement you need for fish farming is knowledge about fish farming. It's overemphasized that fact. You really need to have a good knowledge. You understand? I won't advise anybody going into fish farming to go into it with experimental view. Let me just try to see if it works or not. To definitely fail. So if you have a good knowledge, it's your first requirement. Then access to water is another basic requirement that you need. And once you have that, then you have your space. And, you're good to go.
How do you get these fishes? Because I think about